Hey Zombie Slayers, Jonathan here at Night Knowledge. I love zombie games, as you can see from my channel. I like Zombie Army 4, I play Deadly Days, Death Road to Canada, State of Decay 2, and even for board games, games like Zombicide. So when the publisher Undead Labs came out with an update for State of Decay 2 with a huge map, all the DLCs unlocked and everything a few weeks ago, my friends and I, we all started playing again. So there's a lot of new players and a lot of returning players, and today's video is going to show you my 5 best tips for State of Decay 2, as well as a bonus which will show you as a new player or maybe even as a returning player what type of things you should be looting in terms of priority wise. Let's get started. The first tip I'm going to give you today is when it comes to your community members, they're going to have 4 main what's called core skills. It's going to be cardio, wits, fighting, shooting, and the 5th one is called a kind of like a community skill, kind of like a crafting skill. Every character will always have these four first skills. They might have a 5th skill, they might not. When you max out a specific core skill, you'll get the ability to choose a specialization. In this case, the cardio has been selected to be marathon for the specialization. For the wits is stealth. For the fighting is striking. And for this specific character, due to, I believe, the trait of has astigmatism, it has prevented Greg from having an 8-star shooting ability, and he cannot get more than 3 stars with the shooting, meaning that he cannot specialize this skill. The main tip I have about this is that when you are starting off with new characters and you're leveling up your core skills, you'll be tempted to actually specialize as soon as you actually max it out. But I actually recommend for at least the first 3 skills, or even the cardio and the wit skill, to wait till these 2 are able to be specialized together so that you can see what type of character you can make. In this specific case, I wanted Greg to be a nighttime stealth person. The stealth will allow him to sprint while he sneaks, and the marathon will allow him to sprint for longer. My number 2 tip is to collect cars. You'll want to collect cars, bring them back to your base, and you'll want to park them in the parking spots. When you specifically move bases, any cars in the parking spaces will move as well. Any that are not in the parking spaces will not move. And you can only have 1 car per space. What you use the cars for, or what I use them for, is for holding my extra rucksacks, because if you check here, it will show you how many resources you have versus how many your base can hold. And if you exceed the amount you can hold, then it will slowly decay. So to avoid that issue, you can put your extra rucksacks in the trunk of your car and then organize it, as you can see here. Just keep them outside of your base. There will be a point in which you have too many cars and not that many rucksacks, at which point you can use the cars to block off your base from zombie sieges. So as you can see here, there is a door right here which I've blocked off with this car. Zombies are not smart enough or able to go through that car. So that's one less opening that zombies will be able to get to you from. And you can funnel them through different areas instead. If you're in a car and you ever get stuck, you can always open your inventory, bring up the radio, and then you can select the stuck button. And you'll just hold for a few seconds, and then it will teleport you to a non-stuck position. In the top left of your screen, the star in the circle, that's how much influence you have. That is the main source of currency in the game. If you're low on resources or influence, you can always join another player's game. And the great thing about that is that when you're in another player's game, there's no daily upkeep of resources, and you'll be gaining multiplayer rewards when you get back to your game. So the rucksacks you get in other players' games will go towards that player's community. If they're okay with it, you can always load up your character with those rucksacks that you find and change characters. And when you come back to your game, they will be still equipped with those rucksacks that they got from another game. One of the biggest things about State of Decay is not the survival and the looting, but specifically the combat. And for a large portion of the beginning of the game is going to be melee combat. You can always just step up to a zombie and just rapidly use your melee button to kill a zombie, but you'll find that it uses up a lot of your stamina, the blue bar. What you can do instead is a quick finisher, and I'm going to show you a great way to kill a lot of zombies quickly without using a lot of stamina. So what you want to do is whenever a zombie sees you, they're just going to run blindly straight to you, like this one right here. What you'll want to do is press the dodge at the last moment, turn around, and use your quick finisher. On PC, I have it set to my back mouse button as my dodge, and my quick finisher being my middle mouse button. So let's see if I can find another zombie to show this off. Oh, okay. So once again, dodge, quick finisher. It's quick and efficient. Now there will be times that zombies will be surrounding you, so when you're doing that quick finisher, sometimes you'll need to be ready with another dodge. And sometimes you'll just have to stop the quick finisher altogether just to avoid taking damage, especially if there's a lot of zombies. The last big tip that I have for you is that if you haven't played in a while or this is the first time playing, you'll see that there's a bounty broker on your map. I would recommend going to it as soon as possible because the bounty broker gives you 3 active bounties for free, your choice, and you basically select the bounties that you want, and when you complete it, you get that reward. Once you complete the bounty, you'll get the item, and your other communities, or this community, can then use influence to buy additional copies of those items. So it's always a good way to do what you're doing, you know, helping other communities, playing with your friends, anything. Anything you're doing is probably contributing to your active bounties. So I would always recommend go find your bounty broker on your map. This is the Providence map. So as you can see, it's kind of like in the northwest part of the map. And you just talk to the guy, and it's usually divided into 3 different types of bounties. And then you just take a look to see which ones you want to slot in or out. So as a bonus, I'm going to show you what you should be looting in State of Decay 2. And the short answer is everything. But you won't always have the proper amount of space, backpack space, to be able to do that. So I'm going to show you how to prioritize, or what you should be prioritizing. So at the very top of the priority list, you want to make sure that the #1 priority thing to get is any skill books. 99.9% of the time, you're going to find these type of textbooks right here, ones with specific symbols on it. You're not specifically going to find these ones with the stars. They usually come from rare skill traders. So that's #1. The second thing, in my opinion, that you should prioritize in terms of looting is gas cans and toolkits. At the beginning of the game, you won't have very many, and you'll be always very low. If you start playing with your friends though, in their games, you'll actually accumulate a lot of gas cans to the point that you can actually reduce this in terms of your actual priority list. But that is quite high on the priority list for looting for me. Next, in terms of priority, is ranged weapons. So that is next for the priority list. Then it would be ammo. Then after that, it would be parts, which is these screw symbols. Then it would be crafting materials. So box of seeds, cases of chemicals, jugs of ethanol, scraps of circuitry, piles of weapon remains. You want to make sure that you have a lot of these. I wouldn't normally recommend selling them, even if you have like 200 like I do. These are used for crafting, and sometimes in large amounts. Sometimes you might need like 10 cases of chemicals for specific things. So you never really want to sell these, even if you have a lot. And in the same range, you also want to be prioritizing plague samples around this same level, because you use plague samples to make plague cures. So when those red zombies hit you, the plague zombies, you can heal yourself. So after crafting materials, lower down on the priority list is melee weapons. Although you will be using melee a large portion of your combat experience, if you're using the quick finishers like I showed you today, you will not actually be using your melee weapons that often. So that's why it's lower on my priority list. Underneath melee weapons, I normally put facility mods. They are very helpful and they do sell for a pretty penny. For me, it's not at the top of the priority list. It's more like middle, if not lower. Near the bottom of the list, we have health consumables and stamina consumables. So while useful, and once again, in a way you'll be looting everything eventually, if you have a choice between a gun and books versus health and stamina consumables, get the gun and the books first and leave the health and stamina consumables for later. So that concludes today's video on my top 5 State of Decay tips. As a recap, you'll want to group your specializations together rather than doing them separately. You'll want to collect cars and use them to save your rucksacks in or to block entrances. You'll want to join multiplayer games to increase your resources. You'll want to make use of quick finishers so that you can use less stamina and finish combat quicker. And finally, you'll want to make use of the bounty broker so that you can gain additional rewards as you play. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Check out the rest of my videos on State of Decay 2, video games, board games, and other fun things. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you next time.